It was supposed to break them. Missiles, fire, smoke rising from the waters of the Persian Gulf. The strikes on Kharg Island, Iran's most critical oil terminal, were meant to send one message, loud and clear: back down. But tonight, Iran isn't backing down. Iran is furious. Iran is defiant. And Iran is making promises that are sending shockwaves through every capital on earth. Before we get into the strikes themselves, you need to understand something. Kharg Island is not just a target. Kharg Island is the target. This small island, sitting roughly 25 kilometers off the southwestern coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf, is the beating heart of Iran's entire oil export operation. We're talking about a facility that, at peak capacity, handles up to 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Think about what that means for a second. Iran's economy runs on oil. Its military runs on oil revenue. Its government survives on oil, and the overwhelming majority of that oil flows through one place, Kharg Island. It has massive oil storage tanks, deep water loading berths where super tankers the size of city blocks come to fill up, pipelines stretching across the seafloor, decades of critical infrastructure. If you want to hurt Iran, and we mean really hurt Iran, you hit Kharg Island. That is not a secret. Iranian military planners have known this for decades. They have built air defenses around it. They have surrounded it with radar systems and anti-aircraft batteries. They have treated it like the crown jewel it is. And yet, the strikes came anyway. So what exactly happened? Here is what we know and what we are still learning. Multiple strikes targeted infrastructure at and around Kharg Island. Reports coming out of the region describe significant explosions, fires breaking out across oil storage and loading facilities, and thick black smoke visible from miles away, even from commercial satellite imagery. The strikes were precise, calculated. This was not a random attack. This was a message delivered in fire. Now, who carried out the strikes? That question, as of this broadcast, remains officially contested. Iran has made its accusations clear and pointed. Other regional actors have neither confirmed nor denied involvement. The fog of Middle Eastern geopolitics is, as always, thick. But here is what matters right now. Iranian state media confirmed damage to facilities on and near the island. Iranian officials are calling this a war crime. Iranian military commanders are standing in front of cameras with the kind of cold, barely controlled fury that, in this part of the world, you learn to take very seriously. And the Iranian supreme leader has already spoken. His message: Iran will respond. Now, here is where this story gets truly dangerous. Because Iran isn't just angry. Iran is making very specific, very public threats. And the world is listening. Iranian military commanders have gone on state television and declared that any attack on Iranian sovereign territory, infrastructure, or people will be met with, and I want to quote this carefully, a response that the aggressor will never forget. That is not diplomatic language. That is a warning. Iran's foreign ministry has called for an emergency session at the United Nations, demanding international condemnation of what they call an illegal act of aggression against a sovereign nation. Meanwhile, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has reportedly been placed on elevated alert. Iranian naval vessels in the Strait of Hormuz have increased their activity. And if you know anything about global oil supply, you know why that last detail is keeping energy traders up at night. The Strait of Hormuz. That narrow critical choke point between the Persian Gulf and the open ocean. Roughly 1/5 of the entire world's oil supply passes through that strait every single day. If Iran moves to close it, or even threaten to close it, we are talking about an energy crisis that would make everything we have seen in recent years look mild. And Iran knows that. They have always known that. The Strait of Hormuz is their ultimate leverage card. And right now, they are putting it on the table. The global reaction has been swift and deeply divided. The United States government has called for restraint on all sides, a phrase that, in Washington's diplomatic playbook, is often the first step before much stronger statements follow. The White House National Security Council is in emergency sessions. The Pentagon has confirmed that U.S. naval assets in the region are, quote, monitoring the situation closely. Translation: American warships are watching, and they are ready. In Europe, reaction has been similarly urgent. Britain and France have called for an immediate de-escalation. The European Union has issued a statement warning that any further military action in the Persian Gulf region risks, quote, catastrophic consequences for global stability. Saudi Arabia, Iran's longtime rival, has been notably quiet, and in the Middle East, sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Israel has made no official comment. Russia and China, Iran's two most powerful diplomatic backers, have condemned what they are calling an unprovoked attack on Iranian sovereignty, and have called for the UN Security Council to convene immediately. And at the United Nations itself, emergency back-channel diplomacy is happening around the clock. Ambassadors are making phone calls they will never admit to. Back doors are being opened. Because every major power on Earth understands the same terrible truth right now. This can still get much worse. You might be watching this from thousands of miles away, in America, in Europe, in Asia, and thinking, why does this affect me? Here is why. Within hours of the news breaking, global oil prices surged sharply. Brent crude, the international benchmark, spiked significantly as traders priced in the risk of supply disruption from the Gulf region. If the conflict escalates further, analysts are warning of oil price spikes that would ripple through every single economy on Earth. Higher gas prices, higher shipping costs, higher prices on virtually everything that gets transported, which is, well, everything. The global economy is still fragile. Supply chains are still recovering from years of disruption. The last thing the world needs right now is a full-blown military conflict sitting on top of one of the most critical energy corridors on the planet. And yet, here we are. So, what happens now? There are essentially three scenarios playing out in real time, and the world is watching to see which one wins. Scenario 1. Diplomatic off-ramp. Back-channel negotiations succeed. Iran makes a show of strength, launches some kind of limited military response that lets them save face domestically, without triggering a full-scale escalation. Both sides quietly step back from the edge. Oil prices stabilize. The crisis becomes a chapter in a history book rather than the beginning of a war. Scenario 2. Controlled escalation. Iran retaliates in a measured but significant way, targeting regional assets, proxies, or infrastructure. The other side responds. It goes back and forth. Dangerous, destabilizing, but stops short of all-out war. The Strait of Hormuz stays open. The world holds its breath for months. Scenario 3. Full escalation. Iran decides that the stakes are too high, the humiliation too great, and the opportunity too important. They strike back hard. Other regional powers get pulled in. The United States faces pressure to act. The Strait of Hormuz becomes a flashpoint, and a regional conflict becomes something the entire world cannot ignore. Right now, nobody knows which scenario wins. What we do know is that the next 48 to 72 hours are absolutely critical. Watch the statements coming out of Tehran. Watch the movement of naval assets in the Gulf. Watch the emergency UN Security Council.
This is a live report from Tel Aviv. Tensions are rising across the Middle East. The international community is calling for calm and a return to diplomacy. This is a live update from Tel Aviv. Authorities have raised the security alert level following reports of increased activity in the region.